How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to How Farms Work, and this is a live stream. Haven't done one of these in a good minute. We are out here at the main farm, and as you may be able to tell here on the right, you can see that we have harvested. How much is a matter for debate. But we did start harvesting today. However, the moisture out here was a little bit too high. You're welcome to take hints or welcome to take guesses on what the moisture is in some of these beans. So, Rocket, come here. Figured I'd come out here and have a look at the beans. So, these beans were running really good. The yield monitor was saying nothing less than 60 on the farm, which is expected of this farm because it is the highest yielding farm that we've got. And overall, the yield looked really good. Like the average on the yield monitor was 69. And that's one of the highest that I've seen it yet for this farm, which is really, really good. So I'm not totally sure how many acres. Moisture wasn't quite 20 or 30%. The corn is, but the beans were running 17. But yeah, we got going, and this strip right here was running about 14.5, which isn't bad, honestly. And the later in the day that you go, I mean, they're gonna run better. But it's like I'm calling you. Yeah, I haven't done a live stream in a while, so if you guys have any questions for me, now is the time to get them. We had a couple issues that came up when we first started. The adjustment for the blower in the combine wasn't working. It was locked up, probably because the combine was sitting outside for like a month when we were working on it. And we sprayed that with some WD-40, you know, kind of tried turning it with a wrench, and it loosened up and we got to going, and from there everything worked pretty good. However, on the far strip up there, that is where it was above 17% moisture and it was still very green, and I guess Dad hit a green slug and it went into the combine, and it didn't turn out well. He broke a tooth off the head, which isn't that big a deal really. But has the weather been cold there? It hasn't been that bad, honestly. I haven't needed anything more than a sweatshirt, but they all are calling for 32 degrees on Friday, which could be our frost. How many acres of beans do you have this year? We only have 70 acres of beans this year. Pretty much everything here at the main farm and a couple strips down at Travis's place are all that we have. We took a farm up in Burton out of contours, and we just put it all to corn because we were looking at the yield maps over the last few years, and they just weren't, that farm just wasn't producing anything on the beans. So we took it out and just put it all to corn this year, and I'm glad that we did, because with the way that prices have been and everything, corn went up to $4.70 there, and I know that we've got some sold for that. I think the highest that I've got sold is like $4.50, but everything that I've got sold is above $4, which is pretty good. I didn't see what corn closed at today, but prices were rebounding on the news of that the crops might not be panning out quite as well as they thought, and the fact that there's a huge snowstorm coming up here the next few days, I think. Is your farm like a family farm? Yes, we are. Pretty much Dad, Travis, and I work here full time. What's the best and worst part about working on the farm? Best part is that you're your own boss. Basically everything that you see, you know, you got to take care of because you have a stake in it. But that's also the worst thing, because you're your own job security. If you don't do a good job at what you do, you're not going to be farming for very long, and you aren't going to be in business. You have to take care of your family that way. So farmers are under a lot of stress. What's my priority upgrade for the farm? There's a couple things. Honestly, probably a new trailer for the semi is going to be a big one that's coming up, just because I want an ag hopper trailer, and the one that I've got way larger than I'm going to need, and there are some issues with it that are arising. For right now, it's really not that big of an issue, but long term, I'd like to switch over to a smaller hopper grain trailer. Hey Roberto, how's it going? We'll probably never get back into milking cows unless there's money in it, and I don't really see there being enough money in milking cows for us to be able to go back into it. We ripped out everything in the barn, so we'd have to go through and reman everything, and the way that it's set up, the cow's somatic cell count was just kind of going through the roof slowly over the years. And when Travis took over milking full-time, we got it kind of back under control, but there's only so much that you can do in that kind of grain or in that kind of milking setup. So I haven't heard any progress on the farming simulator map. I know that it is still under construction. I believe there's 2 people who are working on it, and the most up-to-date version that I saw was pretty good. So, see some beans that went out the back of the combine there. Head shell. But even over here, I mean, you can still feel it's just wet. What is today? Wednesday? So they're actually calling for rain tomorrow. I don't know if there's rain coming tonight, but it's looking kind of dark over there. So I guess I'll start walking back and we'll go back into the machine shed. Now, we did some yield checks on the corn, and at 30,000 per acre average, assumed, it was planted way higher than that here. But by the time you factor in plants that didn't make it or whatever, your stand is about 30,000 estimated. For what I counted out, the yield that I came up with was around like 212, which I know is probably lower. That was kind of a reserved measurement. So I just got over like a really nasty cold. I don't know if you could hear it in some of my videos, but I tried to not film when I was sick because I pretty much sounded like this the whole time. Jamie's doing well. Where did that near miss happen on the road? That was down at Travis's place 24 hours ago. I was heading down the road and had the brush hog on the back. We were just taking it down there to put it in the machine shed, and there's a older couple in a truck that was behind me, and I was keeping an eye on them. You know, I always try to down there just because people will do that stupid stuff all the time. But I was keeping an eye on them, and it looked like they were trying to like going around, or they were trying to like get as far out to the left as they could. And then they like came right back in right after I turned on my turn signal. So I'm like, I don't got to worry about them. You know, they saw my turn signal turn on. They're going to wait for me to turn. And then right as I started pulling over, the middle of the tractor was on the yellow line. The yellow line was like directly below my behind my butt. And yeah, they just whipped around and left of me and about turned into them, and they about nailed my side. But now I jerked the wheel to the right and kind of shook me up a little bit, but it happens. Oh, by the way, I now have a TikTok. I have finally given in. I never thought I would, but To be honest, where I'm from in South Africa, I would rather go towards sunflower or peanuts rather than soybeans. Soybeans just isn't a hardy enough plant for me. I mean, I believe it depends on what your climate's like down there. JCB update. No update yet, unfortunately. I thought that we were going to have some news on it, but still nothing. I'd say it's about 68 degrees. I'm actually kind of hot getting like walking here, but the wind's blowing pretty hard. Do we keep cattle? I was actually planning on keeping some of mine this coming spring, or whenever I sell my steers. I was planning on keeping my heifers, but after being around them out on pasture, I'm starting to think, you know, maybe I should just sell them, and then if I want to buy heifers again, then I'll just go to the sales barn and do it, and I can pick ones that don't appear as wild in the ring. I had pretty good luck with it, but this summer, I mean, some of them are just crazy wild. I mean, I try to go out there and spend some time with them, but there's always those ones that just hang back in the woods and they don't come out. In total, we farm about 1,200 acres. That includes pasture. Ryan, someone asked if you could explain denting on corn. So, as you go through the year, the reason that corn dents is because the kernels start to dry up, and that's just a feature of yellow dent corn. But once it starts to dent, you know that it's getting later in the stages and it's getting closer to being harvested. Are you going to buy the JCB? I would like to. I'm not totally sure if JCB is going to be up for it yet or not. The last I heard, they were totally for it, but sometimes it can get kind of hard to get a hold of larger companies like that. You know, I don't know. If they don't want to, it's perfectly fine. I was kind of hoping they would, because the JCB is an awesome unit, but we still have it on the farm. It's still here. We just have been using it intermittently. Travis took it down to his place right a couple days ago to fix his driveway after the last big storm that we got. So we pulled out the Brent 672. She's a little dirty. Last fall, I don't know who the other guy who's making a map is. I don't keep track. I just check out the maps when they're sent to me. Anyway, we got a hammer strap on the 4640. Look at that shiny green. But I think they seem to be like a pretty good pair. Once we get the 672 loaded, I'll have a better idea on whether or not they're a good fit. I mean, I would think they'd be able to handle it pretty well. My biggest concern with doing this, putting the Brent on the 46 originally, was that one of our fields had a huge downslope on it. How long until you can start harvest? We were supposed to start today, the Duelist. Thank you, by the way. And yeah, I just gotta wait for it to dry down. So yeah, I think the 46 should be able to handle this. As I was saying, we had a field that was like pitched like this last year, and the 82 could barely hold this thing back. That was kind of a wild ride. We weren't even filling it fully loaded, and it was kind of sketch. So I don't know why the wind decided to pick up. Looks pretty good. Got the 4020 set up to the bin over there because we harvested like 150 bushels worth of beans before we said, nah, too wet. So she's gonna be sitting there until we decide that we can keep going. So I don't know what we're gonna be doing here in the next week. Travis and I were talking about going out and knocking down the rest of that hay of mine. So I've got 25 acres of my hay that I would really love to cut, because I'm still pretty short on overall we're not short on hay. Wow, that makes my face look awful. There we go. Just got to hold it higher. Overall, I mean, as a farm, we're not low on hay. However, like I am, so we might have to move some hay around and do that to get through the winter. We did make that valley down there, but Travis was planning on selling a good portion of that, and I was hoping that I wouldn't have to dip into it, and I'm still hoping that I don't have to, but we'll just have to wait and see. Should I move to Wisconsin? Wisconsin's not a bad place. I like it up here. But the biggest thing that I'm not really keen on is winter. But I have a saying, and it's winter always makes you appreciate the summer. It really does. Thanks, Bryce. Do you see a new combine in your future? Yeah. I mean, I would definitely see like a 9670 in our future, maybe like a 9770. Dad's been talking about a 9670, but it really just depends on what it comes down to when we go to look. When it comes to purchasing farm equipment, I mean, there's what you like, there's what you want, there's what you need, and then there's what you can afford. So, are you going to ask Unverfirth if you can demo their soil buster that Brian's farming got to demo? I don't know about a soil buster. I don't know the honest name of it, but we're talking about getting a ripper from them. So, would you consider building hog barns? No, not too keen on hogs. Do you have any advice for me? Because I would like to be a first-generation farmer. Depends on what you're going into, dude. Work long hours and make sure that you do as much work yourself as you can. Because when you have to start paying other people to fix stuff for you, it gets really expensive. Hey, Carson. How do you dry your grain? We have bin dryers with bin fans. What's up, Ford truckers? You know how to make $1 million farming? Start with 10 million. Is it easy to get work there, and is it expensive to live? This part of the state is, I don't think it's really that expensive to live. As long as you don't go to a place that's like in town, I guess. I know that rents in like Platteville, which is like 10 miles from us, can be upwards of like $600, $700, $800 a month. And to me, that's pretty expensive. How long would it take the bins dryer to bring moisture down in the beans for you to need it? I wouldn't trust it to lower the bean percentage down more than just a couple percentage points, mostly because that bin isn't going to be loaded evenly. So the bin that we're loading them into, as many of you may know, is the bin that has the structural issues. So with 70 acres of beans, I just did the math on this like 2 days ago. With 70 acres of beans at 60 bushels to the acre, you're looking at like, was that like 4,500 bushels of beans or something like that, or 6,500, depending on what the yield does. So the bin's not going to be loaded full, and I really wouldn't like to put more than like 4,000 in that bin. Thanks, William. That is a 9510 behind me. Did Big Red get its DOT inspection? It's actually supposed to be getting it tonight. So a couple more issues came up with Big Red. Hard to believe, right? Hey, Ben, how's it going? I don't own any land myself. It's all family or rented. Any plans to repair or replace the bin? The last I heard Dad talk, he was interested in using what we can off that bin, pouring a new foundation for a new bin, and then replacing whatever we need. So reusing like the roof, any parts that are still good. So how many dogs are around there? Depends on the day. Depends whose dogs are here. What do you think about people hacking John Deere tractors to repair them? I mean, I haven't really looked into it that much. I know I've heard a lot of controversy surrounding the whole right to repair thing with John Deere. Hey, Mechanical Madness, how's it going? Will you still be... Hey, Io Dairy Boys, how's it going? will you still be using the Brent this fall? We have it hooked up just in case, and I think that we will be using it, honestly. I'm sure there's going to be a night where we're going to try to get as much done as we can, like if the rain's coming or whatever. How this year has been going, I could really see us pushing to fight the rain again. They're calling for more rain here in the next 2 days, and we tried getting some beans done tonight, but it just didn't happen. Biggest plus and minus in John Deere. Biggest plus, reliable, and plus is reliable and comfortable. Minus, John Deere is a company, and some people, especially like as a YouTuber, if you say anything negative about any company, you know, even if you're just giving them like a little harsh, or not really harsh, a little soft criticism, they tend to take it a little bit too extreme. But I try to always be a little bit honest. But I think John Deere as a company is a little bit too sure in themselves. I don't know really how to say it. What I like about them is that they do use like high-end parts in all their equipment, no matter what it is, from the tractors down to the skid loaders. But the thing with that is that, you know, expenses, they're going to be expensive. What is the price of corn in your country right now? I don't know what corn closed at, but December corn was $3.92 the last time I saw it, and I think it was headed up. I'm gonna set this down somewhere, because then I can like sit here and talk like a normal person instead of trying to hold my camera at arm's length. I wish I had telescopic vision so I could read your comments. The new grain cart you're using, will you end up purchasing it? Probably not. The new grain cart that we have, the list price on one of them bad boys is right around 50 to 60K. I would imagine this one's sitting right around 60 because it has pretty much all the options on it, except for like a moisture tester. I didn't even know you could get those on grain carts, but I think that's pretty cool that you could do that. So, hey Mike, how's it going? What happened to your nephew? He disappeared. How do you like the new LED bulbs? So, Travis and I'll give myself some partial credit. I've been sitting here soldering them for him. LED lights on the 7600 are freaking awesome. These are the exact same lights that we put on the back of Big Red, and they're really, really bright. However, if you don't have the tractor running, what I noticed last night is that one of the lights on the back doesn't turn on all the way. So, how did you get into farming, family, or college? I got into farming by family. So for those of you who don't know, we started off as dairy farmers on these farms. You know, I was talking to Dad, and Dad's like, "Oh, you say you're a third-generation farmer, but you're actually like seventh or eighth," and which is true. But on these farms, Travis and I are third-generation farmers, and my grandparents purchased their first farm that we have now in the 1950s, and they slowly grew their operation over the years to include like 5 different farms. In 2008, they had been renting out a farm up by Burton, actually just across from the Burton farm that we're still running now. And that farm had been run by the Amish for a few years. Well, the first year that they sold that farm to the Amish, there was a barn. Well, I think it had like a gold roof up there. There was a barn on the property that they stacked full of wet hay, and the barn went up. But they had a new barn built really, really quick. I was really impressed. But yeah, that was, they sold that farm to pay for the house on the main farm here. Grandpa wanted to build Grandma a house because he said that she always deserved to live in a nicer house. So they sold that farm and built her one. And that was in 2008. Are you going to add more wheel weights to the tractor to help handle the weight load of the big grain cart to help with the pushing? I don't think she's going to need much more weight. I mean, if there's anything that 82 has, honestly, it's weight. but she's a little bit underpowered for her size, which she's only 235 horse. Thanks, David, if you're still around. Sorry, I missed your message. What was the first tractor you learned how to drive? The first tractor I learned how to drive was the 2955 John Deere, but then the first tractor that I drove by myself was the 4020 that we have now. Ever considered track tractors? Not really, not yet. We just haven't really had much of a need for a track tractor yet at this point on the farm. So, I don't know. I wouldn't mind running one, especially for a cart this size, and especially for how wet the fields are this year. But do you think it's hard to get into agriculture if you are doing it through college? I live in the state of Virginia, and the best college in Virginia for ag is Virginia Tech. It's not hard to get into ag. It can be rather difficult to get into farming. Depending on the kind of operation that you do, you really don't need to have much land if you want to go into specialty crops. I've seen a lot of farmers do that, and that's a great route to go down, honestly. There's good money to be made in it. However, you know, it isn't like commercial scale. It can be commercial, just not commercial scale. And there can be more labor involved with that, or, you know, they're just kind of more dense placement of crops like hemp. Realistically, what do you think your farm's next purchase is? I don't know what the farm's next big purchase would be. I'll have to think on that one. All right, sorry, Steve, but you're out of here. Because the land around here is a bunch of fields, and usually it is corn and soybeans and wheat, and I live by the hardest working farm in America. Oh, that's kind of cool. What will you go first, 4960 or more cattle for you? More cattle, probably. I'd like to buy a 4960, but I have to have the income coming off the farm to be able to do it. And I think having the cattle here is going to be a great booster. I just want to expand my operation a little bit more. Thanks, Robert. Starting a campaign fund for you and Travis to pre-order the new GoPro 8 with mods. Thanks. Appreciate you, Robert. I was looking at that, and it's a little unfortunate that the mods aren't going to be coming out until like December. So it's going to be, there's going to be snow on the ground before I can get the mods for it. That was so Canadian of you. Sorry, you are out of here. Oh. I don't know. I'm from Wisconsin. It's basically Canada. With a few more opes. What is the newest machine you have on your farm? And would you ever consider getting out of farming and going into something different? I'll never consider getting out of farming unless it is truly unprofitable, unless I really have no other option. Otherwise, you know, what I'm doing right now is what I'd like to be doing for the rest of my life. So, when his Travis goes completely bald, his nickname should be Uncle Fester. Don't tell Travis this, but I'm thinking about swapping some of his kickstart out here for like water. What is the globe model on the 82? The Starfire 3000? It's a real old model. It's not the one that came with it. That actually came with the planter. And I can't remember if we mounted it on the 4640 the first year. I think we might have. But essentially that just came with the planter to run the row clutches. So I am 26 years old. Low horsepower in any series, always lack power. 7290R would pull circles around in the 8235. Absolutely. The 7Rs though are just a weight class lower. But yeah, definitely. As long as you got the traction there, you can pull all day. Don't waste good kickstart. Yeah, right. Stuff needs to be poured. I would say it needs to be poured on the ground, but not even the ground deserves that. Were the beans too wet? Saw you combine some in your snap store. Yeah, they're running between 15 and 17%. Andrew this year, and you can you'll be able to see more of it on our Friday video. This year, Andrew put fungicide. He did a test trial at the main farm here. So this farm is already like our highest producing farm for beans and corn. However, he did a fungicide trial, and on the drone a couple weeks ago, you could see where he had gone through and sprayed, because the beans where he had sprayed were still green. And I didn't get to see what the yield was doing on the far side of the farm, but over here it was doing anything between 60 and 88 was the highest that I had seen. And we only did like 1.5 acres, which is good because the beans are too wet, but the yield average was like 69. Nice. How much horse is the 4640? When we bought it, it was dynoed at 230, which means it was way turned up, which would be probably a good reason that the fuel pump went out of it the first year. I'm not married, Chris. Jamie's 26, 27, about to turn 27. Are you late with harvesting, or is it normal for your area you haven't harvested yet? So I think right now it is getting kind of later in the year because it is the 9th of October, and we haven't harvested anything. We haven't really looked at anything. You know, we're not really planning on harvest, or I don't know how much high moisture corn we're planning on doing. We'd like it to be as dry as possible. But what moisture do you want your beans? 13% is ideal. Did I finally dry out yet? It didn't. The ground is dry-ish here. Just don't go into the low spots. There's a bird on the tractor. We still have the JCB. It's a great unit. Do you have a TikTok? I'm ashamed to say it, but I unfortunately do have a TikTok. I opened it a couple weeks ago, but I didn't really do anything with it. I posted like 1 or 2 things, and then I posted the Roomba part of the Roomba video on TikTok, and that got like 80,000 plays. And then my little rant on the side of the road yesterday got like 50 or 60,000. Is there a bird around me that I don't know? You can't wait for more TikToks. Don't tell me you have TikTok, Alicia. What's up, Grant? Why TikTok? How is it different from Snapchat? TikTok, you can actually like edit your videos a little bit more. You can add splices in and stuff, which really, I mean, you could do with Snapchat too, but it's a little bit of a different platform than Snapchat. Are you going to start using the Roomba for your business? Probably not. The Roomba was like a nice one-time thing. We were actually thinking about taking it to Walmart and setting it free, letting it go back to the wild, like it was truly meant to live, you know. How much corn do you have in the ground this year? Couple hundred acres. I think Dad's got 400. Travis has got a few hundred, and I have barely anything. Thanks, by the way, GK Farms. Yes, I saw you. I appreciate you. About supper time, I know I have a meeting here with the company in 15 minutes, so unfortunately I have to end my live stream by 4 o'clock. So, hey Brandon, how's it going? Hey Jordan. What type of corn header do you have and how many rows? So, might as well take you over and show it to you. It's right here in the shed. So we've got a 6-row, 620. I don't think it's 620, is it? 643. But as you can see, a couple of the snouts are poly. So we had an issue with the contour master on the combine. Pretty much what it kept trying to do was tilt the head. And no matter how much we locked it in place and tried to shut things down to keep it from tilting the head, every time you lift it up, there would be pressure on that cylinder, which would cause it to tilt to the left, which resulted in this snout being destroyed. Or maybe it was the other one. It's more likely that one. There was just a huge rat that went on the other side of it over there. Can you still hear me? Will you get a new combine anytime soon? I don't know if I'd say anytime soon. I'm saying maybe within like 5 years we'll be seeing a new combine, unless we can get like a sponsorship deal or something like that. But I never really planned for anything like that. I just, yeah, I'd say like 5 years is a good estimate. Man, that is like a terrible, there. Sorry about it. Keep it up, because if you don't farm, there won't be anyone else doing it these days. Oh, there'll be people doing it these days. They'll just be the larger corporations. So, fun fact, I haven't talked about this on my channel at all, but for those of you who know the layout of the farms, we are about to have a huge solar farm to the north of us. So they're trying to get 2,000 acres, literally, like on this end of the farm, north, that are going into solar panels, and they're trying to get us to put some in, but we just don't want to, and we can't. So, but yeah, fun fact for you. I might talk about it some more in the future. So, Travis got a camera mounted up on, you guys have probably seen that, I guess. But yes, Matt, that pretty much that whole, not just that, but there's another farm up there. They have about 1,500 acres that are set to go in right now. So those solar farms are paying like $700 an acre, which is pretty good because it's all, I mean, that's pretty much all profit. However, for us, you know, I mean, we're farmers. We would consider putting something like a windmill in. However, solar panels just take up too much space, and they would hinder us as an operation as far as like farming, even though it would provide a decent amount. What they actually wanted us to do was put 40 acres into solar panels, and $700 a year, it appreciates 1.7% every year. So by the end of like a 30-year contract, you'd be making some pretty good money on it, but it's really going to mess with land prices in the area. Hey, Nicholas. I know that Travis and I are planning on farming more acres in the future. However, with that solar panel project, it's going to make our lives a lot more difficult. But I don't see any windmills coming in this area, especially if they put solar panels like right up there. We'll never have a solar panel or a windmill on this farm because they won't want to put a windmill up that blocks the light of the solar panels. What's the matter, Rocket? Having a rough day? Huh? Huh? How long of a drive is it to Dubuque? About 30 minutes. With the truck fully loaded, about 40. Because there's a big hill going into Dickeyville that takes quite a bit to go up. How much ground do you people have? So we have 1,200 acres total that we're farming. A lot of it's pasture. We have a lot of crop ground too, but we farm less than 1,000 actual tillable acres. For a first-time beef cattle operation, how many cow-calf pairs do you suggest to start with? As many as you can hold or afford, honestly. Because the more that you have, it's only widening your profit margin. That is just pathetic. If it was $700 a month, we'd do it. Actually, no, because they're, like I said, they're trying to get us to do the solar panel project, and that's what they're paying. But there's a couple things that prevent us from doing it, even if we wanted to. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. You said earlier about selling your cattle. This Frank, how many would you sell? I don't know if you're talking to me, Ernest. Sorry. 7600 is not on the green grain cart. We don't want to use that this year. because it is a pain to run, especially since the 7600 needs to be on the easy trail because that's going to be used for road travel. He's going to be moving grain from down at his place as well as my place to this farm. And we were talking about it, honestly. I'm thinking that a lot of the loads that I take down with Big Red are probably going to be just emptied out of the bins because it makes things a lot easier for us, except with the exception of the farms that Travis and I both are running. I guess those have to go straight to Dubuque. But all of Dad's crops, I think we're going to move back to the main farm, at least what we can, because Big Red, I can get it in and out at my place. We'd have to load on the road because there's just not enough room in the buildings. I mean, I have seen them back into the field, but with how much moisture we've been getting, I wouldn't want to risk taking the truck out because I had Big Red at some place. I'll probably talk about it in a future video. I don't have the footage on my phone right now. Otherwise, I'd play it for you. But we got stuck with Big Red. I backed up a little bit too far and went over like a small embankment that was on the side of the road. And the back end was off. Well, when those trucks are unloaded, they are helpless. So we had my Denali there. We backed the truck up to it and pulled it out. So that was pretty cool to see. But thanks, Adam. Appreciate you. Ryan, when you bought your cattle, some of them was pregnant as best I can remember. A lot of them are supposed to be. Oh, okay. What kind of truck is Big Red? Freightliner, FLD 112. If you get a new tractor for the grain cart, what would you get? I'd honestly, if we got a new 8R, I'd want it to be over 300 horse. Just because of what we're doing. I mean, when we got the 8R or the 82, I thought this was the biggest tractor we'd ever need. And it seems just that's just the way it goes, especially since we're getting a 5-shank, probably, not for sure, probably getting a 5-shank ripper from Unverfirth this fall to be using. And I just got, I got 5 more minutes. I also just talked to a company this morning. We are going to be getting a manure spreader that's supposed to be getting delivered this week, but we probably won't be doing too much on it until the end of this month, probably because we aren't going to be hauling any manure out until things start to slow down or until we get more crops out, so we have more area to spread on, is what I meant to say. 9R series would be nice. Oh, yeah, it would, but holy crap. I'm saying this now. I don't know if we'll ever get a 9R. I could see us getting like an older 9000, but especially since you can get a good one. I've seen them listed for like 150,000 even. Are you going to do a harvest beard? I thought about it, but everybody starts to complain when I shave. I'm actually going to get my hair cut. Should be here either tomorrow or the next day. Maybe I'll shave then. Get my baby face going. Ever thought of getting another pickup truck to use on the farm? Not really, because we have enough pickups to use. Travis has one. I've got one. Mom and Dad have one. And that seems to be enough. So, this is what a peanut butter and jelly sandwich sees right before I feast down on it. How do you start a farm? It really just depends on the farm that kind of farm that you're going into. Like I said, specialty crops are a whole different ballgame than corn and beans. If you're planning on doing something like what we're doing, you have to have a lot of overhead. You have to have a lot of cash to carry you over because you have to buy ground, you have to buy equipment, a lot of debt, and getting into farming is a lot harder than it used to be because for a while there, I mean, a lot of farms. There were a lot of small farms, and there was a lot of land between a lot of different people, whereas now it's starting to get consolidated. Farms are getting larger. The average farm size has been increasing for like the last 30 years. So, any thoughts on Farm Day 2020 at this point? No news or no word on Farm Day 2020 right now. I think if we have it, it's probably going to be sometime in July, I'm thinking. My biggest problem with doing another farm day is that we don't have any place for people to park. We really don't. This is in the beans next year. If we put it into hay, it's not going to do well. I don't know. Just some quick thoughts. I have to keep thinking on it. Once harvest gets over here, once the new year rolls around, then I'll start seriously thinking about it. I don't think that I'll be doing like an online pre-order of tickets or anything like that. Just kind of pay at the door. How much time do you spend in front of a camera? I've been spending about 45 minutes in front of this one. But, I mean, it really just depends on the day. Like for the last week, I really haven't been filming all that much because I expected that we weren't going to start harvesting. And I didn't want to have like a huge backlog of videos to come out right as we were going into harvesting. So I haven't been filming all that much this past week, which wasn't too bad because we haven't been doing all that much. It's been raining and we haven't been able to do anything other than just general equipment maintenance, like getting stuff ready. So TikTok is right. Got 2 minutes. So speaking of TikTok, if you guys are on there, go follow me. How Farms Work Official. Check it. How was Travis's angle after he saved the calf from the pack of rabid wolves at 2 a.m.? I don't know if I heard about that one. Does your brother or father get annoyed while you film while you should be working? No, because most of what I do, I don't sit and film while we should be working. When we're working, we're working. I film in the time in between. If you were to get 2 more tractors, what would they be? If I were to get 2 more tractors, free of charge, I would probably get like a 9R and probably like an 8400R, Why not? I would also consider getting like a New Holland, I guess. I mean, if you're buying. This channel probably profits the farm. So if anything, he is working while filming. I mean, it benefits the farm. I wouldn't say it really profits the farm. I got 10 seconds, guys. I got to go. All right. Well, thanks for watching this live stream. I'll try to do more of them. I'll probably try to do one again as we're actually harvesting. But stay tuned for Friday's video. It'll show what more went on today. And yeah, thank y'all for watching. Appreciate y'all. Peace out, homies. Oh, want to say goodbye, Rocket? Nope. Later, taters.